It's the early hours of February 21st, 2020, at Manchester Airport. The sky is still dark, but the terminal is alive with the hum of early morning travelers. Families drag suitcases through sliding doors, weary from red-eye flights or buzzing with holiday excitement. Outside, men in fluorescent high-visibility jackets wave cars into neatly organized valet parking bays. Keys change hands, paperwork is signed, and everything seems perfectly routine. Planes roar into the sky, carrying passengers to far-off destinations. But something else is taking off to a criminal operation so slick it would go unnoticed for weeks. By the time investigators caught wind of it, this wasn't just a few missing cars. It was the start of a multi-million-pound network that stretched from Manchester's industrial estates to ports across the globe. October 2024, in the quiet, fog-draped streets of Oldham. An old textile mill stands silent except for the faint glow of strip lights seeping through its cracked windows. Inside, rows of luxury cars sit half dismantled, their engines tagged, dashboards stripped, and chassis numbers erased. This isn't a typical garage. It's the nerve center of a reborn crime empire, one that learned from its past and came back sharper, bolder, and more dangerous. Welcome to the Crime Decoder, where we unravel the most audacious criminal cases. Today we're diving deep into the Manchester Airport Valet Scam, a tale of deception, precision, and a criminal network that refused to die. In early 2020, Manchester Airport was a bustling hub, even in the pre-dawn chill. But beneath the surface of normal operations, something was wrong. Travelers returning from holidays or business trips began reporting a disturbing pattern. Their cars left with valet parking services were nowhere to be found. At first, airport staff chalked it up to internal errors, misplaced keys, a glitch in the system. But within days, the reports snowballed. Dozens of vehicles had vanished, leaving owners stranded and confused. The culprits? Fake valet companies that had sprung up online, offering parking deals too good to be true. Their websites were masterpieces of deception, polished designs, official-looking logos, and glowing testimonials lifted straight from legitimate businesses. They sent confirmation emails, complete with booking numbers and professional signatures. At the airport, their operatives played the part flawlessly high-waisted vests, branded lanyards, and paperwork bearing Manchester Airport's name. They met customers at designated drop-off zones, took the keys, and drove off under the watchful eyes of CCTV. To anyone watching, it looked like business as usual. But these cars weren't heading to secure parking lots. Within minutes of leaving the terminal, they were diverted through back roads to the industrial fringes of greater Manchester, places like Oldham, Chidorton, and Radcliffe, where abandoned mills and shuttered warehouses provided perfect cover. These weren't random thefts. The targets were high-end vehicles, Range Rovers, BMWs, Audacious, Porsches, and Mercedes, chosen for their resale value or valuable parts. Many were stolen to order, fulfilling specific requests from overseas buyers for certain colors, models, or trim levels. Once off airport grounds, the cars were whisked to temporary holding units, often tucked away in nondescript industrial estates. There, they were stripped with surgical precision. Engines were removed, dashboards dismantled, and tracking devices discarded. By the time owners landed back in the UK and called to retrieve their vehicles, the cars were either in pieces or already en route to foreign markets. The operation was so clean that no alarms were triggered, no obvious traces left behind. This wasn't petty theft or joyriding. It was a masterclass in criminal logistics. Months later, police would tie these thefts to Manchester's organized crime groups. But by then, the network had grown into a global export machine worth millions. The investigation soon zeroed in on the mastermind, Asif Hussein. On paper, he was a respectable businessman, running German Automotive 365 Limited, a car parts supplier registered to a modest address in Greater Manchester. During the COVID-19 pandemic, his company even secured a government bounce-back loan, a detail we'll revisit later. But to detectives, this was a facade. German Automotive was a front, a shell company, masking a sophisticated operation that dismantled and exported stolen vehicles. Hussein didn't work alone. Haider Ali was his right-hand man, overseeing the day-to-day operations in garages and mill units across the region. Name appeared on tenancy agreements for multiple sites, including a key location at Stockfield Mill in Chatterton. When police later raided the mill, they found stripped Land Rovers, cloned parts, and chassis numbers ground down to erase their origins. Sajid Jangharaya handled vehicle pickups, often seen shuttling freshly stolen cars between units under the cover of night. Tayyab Hasnain managed logistics, sourcing premises, moving equipment, and ensuring each site stayed off the police's radar. Ibra Shafi, the group's financial guru, kept the money flowing, masking profits through a web of accounts and transactions. Seized phones revealed the operation's inner workings. Text messages read like shopping lists, detailing specific car models, colors, and years requested by buyers. Phone records placed the group's devices near theft scenes across Manchester and Cheshire. Customs data uncovered a fake freight company, KG Logistics, used to book containers under stolen or cloned company identities. The operation was a well-oiled machine, with each member playing a specialized role. What began as a handful of missing airport cars had evolved into a network of mills, storage units, and export routes, funneling millions in illicit profits. The first major break came not from a whistleblower or a lucky tip, but from cold, hard technology. Greater Manchester Police's Automatic Number Plate Recognition (ANPR) system began flagging vehicles reported missing from the airport's valet services. Within days, those same registration numbers popped up again, captured on cameras along routes to Chatterton and Radcliffe areas long associated with small-scale chop shops. These weren't amateur setups. The locations were carefully chosen: dense clusters of industrial units, narrow access roads, and constant background noise from nearby workshops to mask the sound of power tools cutting through metal. Surveillance teams set up watch, noting a chilling pattern. By day, the units sat quiet, shutters down, sometimes for weeks. Then, in the dead of night, lights flickered on. Vans pulled up, and cars, some still warm from the road, were driven inside. By morning, the sites were empty again, as if nothing had happened. When police finally entered one of the garages under warrant, they found a scene of staggering precision. Cars were dismantled in hours, with number plates and trackers discarded in nearby bins. Engines were tagged with shipping codes, wrapped in plastic and stacked for export. Even the car shells, the bare frames of once pristine vehicles, were crushed into scrap before dawn to erase their origins. 3 key sites emerged: Stockfield Mill in Chatterton, an industrial estate near Radcliffe, and a storage unit rented under false names. Every lead pointed back to Asif Hussein's crew, who used aliases, shared burner phones, and forged documents to stay ahead of the law. For the first time, investigators could see the network's structure from end to end, mapping a criminal empire that had turned Manchester's industrial heart into a stolen car factory. By early 2021, Greater Manchester Police had built an airtight case through months of surveillance, phone analysis, and financial tracing. The time to act had come. Just after 5 a.m., the Vehicle Interference Unit and Regional Organized Crime Unit launched a series of coordinated dawn raids across Oldham, Wigan, and Stockport. Tactical teams breached the doors, supported by traffic units blocking escape routes. Inside, they found exactly what they'd expected: a production line of stolen luxury cars, Range Rovers, Porsche Cayennes, Jaguars reduced to bare frames and tagged components. The floors were littered with vehicle shells, branded parts, and shipping labels ready for container loading. Nearby computers held freight paperwork and customs declarations tied to a string of fake export firms. By this point, the network had shipped 11 containers out of the UK. 3 were intercepted through international cooperation, one at Sefton Dock in Merseyside, another in Istanbul, and a third in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates. Each was packed with dismantled luxury cars disguised as used mechanical parts. Overseas police returned the containers unopened. Preserving critical evidence, seized phones confirmed the group's coordination, with messages detailing pickup schedules, buyer demands, and shipping routes. Within days, the key players were in custody. Asif Hussein was arrested in Oldham, followed by Hadia Ali, Saeed, Jangharaya, Tayyab Hasnain, and Ibra Shafi in follow-up operations across Greater Manchester. The raids crippled one of the region's most profitable vehicle theft networks, but the investigation was far from over. The gang's phones revealed a scheme far bigger than stolen cars. Amid coded talk of vehicles and logistics, Messages referenced loans, funds secured, and paperwork sorted. At first, detectives thought it was criminal shorthand, but financial investigators uncovered a jaw-dropping truth. Two front companies, German Automotive 365 Limited and Merck Carriers Limited, had claimed £145,000 in COVID bounce-back loans, public funds meant to support businesses during the pandemic. German Automotive, with no employees, no invoices, and no legitimate trade, received £50,000 within a week of applying. Ibra Shafi's linked firm pulled in another £95,000, funneled through a maze of personal and business accounts to obscure its origins. This wasn't a side hustle. It was the backbone of the operation. The loan money bought transport vans, paid rent on the Chatterton and Radcliffe units, and covered container bookings for overseas shipping. Profits from stolen car parts, sold through online listings, were mixed with the loan cash to launder the proceeds. The audacity was staggering. As small businesses across the UK fought to survive lockdowns, Hussein's crew exploited taxpayer money to fuel their criminal empire. In January 2022, Manchester Crown Court was packed as prosecutors laid out the full scale of the operation. Over 90 vehicles worth an estimated £3 million had been stolen, dismantled, and shipped with military-like precision. Judge Anthony Cross Casey called the scheme industrial in scale and condemned the group for abusing the COVID loan system. He ordered a formal inquiry into how the bounce-back loans were approved, describing the oversight as a catastrophic failure. The funds, he emphasized, were meant to protect livelihoods, not bankroll organized crime. Sentences reflected the operation's severity. Asif Hussein, 15 years in prison, the ringleader who orchestrated the network. Hadir Ali, 11 years, for managing the chop shops and daily operations. Jeed Jongharia, 10 years, for handling vehicle pickups and transport. Tayyub Hassanain, 5 years and 6 months, for logistics and site management. Ibra Shafi, 5 years for laundering the funds that kept the operation running. But even as the gavel fell, detectives knew the work wasn't done. Phone records and invoices hinted at other garages still operating under the same banner, with a name that kept surfacing: the company. The network's reach extended far beyond Manchester. In March 2025, Interpol's Operation Safe Wheels ran vehicle checks across 12 West African countries, including Ghana, using stolen motor vehicle databases. The results were alarming. British-plated luxury cars were flooding into Africa, laundered through forged paperwork, and sold to unsuspecting buyers. Ghanaian police issued public warnings, noting that some drivers were unwittingly behind the wheel of stolen imports. Elsewhere, the trails were just as clear. A Range Rover stolen from Harrogate was traced to Karachi, Pakistan, via its onboard tracker, prompting international cooperation. In the same city, a Bentley Mulsanne taken from London was seized from a driveway in the upscale Defence Housing Authority. It's fitted with forged plates, but betrayed by its VIN. In Southeast Asia, Operation Titanium linked UK thefts to showrooms in Bangkok, covering 30 high-value cars worth £6.5 million, including a Lamborghini Huracan Spider, Porsches, and Mercedes. Closer to home, Essex Police's Stolen Vehicle Intelligence Unit intercepted 60 containers in 2023, recovering 240 vehicles valued at £13 million. Among them were a Ferrari and a Range Rover Sport owned by Premier League footballers, stacked among tires and cargo straps. From Ghana to Karachi, Bangkok to Sharjah, the pattern was unmistakable. UK cars, disguised on paperwork, were feeding a global hunger for prestige brands and scarce parts. But even with Hussein's crew behind bars, the story wasn't over. By early 2023, Greater Manchester Police began hearing echoes of the past. Vehicles were vanishing under near-identical circumstances, stolen to order, stripped in industrial estates, and shipped overseas. Intelligence reports dubbed it the return of the yard, a nod to the slang term police used for chop shops. The new network called itself 50, a brazen taunt that the trade never stopped. The players were younger, less known, but their playbook mirrored Hussein's down to the smallest details. Operation Iceberg was launched to dismantle this second-generation network. Surveillance teams spent months monitoring suspected sites, using drones to capture footage of cars entering at night and leaving as shells by morning. Discreet trackers were placed on higher-risk vehicles, luxury SUVs, and saloons flagged by insurers. Within hours of being stolen, many were traced to the same yards under watch. 8 sites were identified, each operating under different company names, but using the same stripping rigs, diagnostic scanners, and freight booking methods tied to Hussein's crew. This wasn't a copycat scheme, it was a deliberate succession. At the center was Asif Matadar, a figure known to police from earlier vehicle theft inquiries. While not directly linked to Hussein, he shared contacts, phone records, and freight agents with the old crew. His network was decentralized, with each member running their own yard, but feeding into a larger chain. Shawaz Rahman operated a high-volume chop shop in Oldham, linked to at least 30 stolen cars. He was already on police radar for coercive control and violence offenses, running parallel to the theft case. Imran Taj handled logistics, moving stripped parts to exporters and scrap buyers. Zine Ali and Muhammad Aaron focused on the mechanical side, removing trackers, altering chassis numbers, and packaging engines for shipment. Adam Elwood, one of the younger members, was a wild card. While others stuck to vehicle theft, he funneled profits into drug trafficking and dangerous driving, using stolen cars for transport and getaway runs. His name became a recurring feature in police briefings, tying vehicle crime to Manchester's street-level drug trade. James Hopkinson oversaw finances, linking the group to older laundering patterns through auto salvage companies. Together, these 7 men rebuilt Manchester's stolen car empire, not as a single hub but as a network of independent yards. By mid-2024, Greater Manchester Police had gathered overwhelming evidence. Drones captured cars entering yards at night, stripped bare by dawn. Trackers led to active sites, and forensic teams found tools, hydraulic spreaders, electronic reprogrammers, and Venn grinders, matching those from Hussein's raids. Financial trails showed money flowing to buyers in the UAE and Eastern Europe, disguised as payments for auto parts or logistics fees. Customs data confirmed export bookings under false declarations, mirroring the old network's tactics. On a cold October morning in 2024, Operation Iceberg culminated in the region's largest vehicle crime crackdown in years. Just after 5 a.m., tactical teams hit 8 sites across Oldham, Stockport, Radcliffe, and Wigan. Inside, they found rows of dismantled luxury cars, stripped dashboards, boxed engines, and cloned modules stacked on pallets. Over 90 vehicles or their parts were recovered, with shipping labels marked for Turkey, the UAE, and West Africa. Computers held drafts of fake export documents, and seized phones revealed the network's digital skeleton. Arrests followed swiftly. Asif Matadar, Shawaz Rahman, Imran Taj, Zine Ali, Adam Elwood, Muhammad Aaron, and James Hopkinson were detained for conspiracy to steal, handle, and export stolen goods. Each was questioned in specialist custody suites as searches continued through the night. The 50 network, Manchester's second-generation car theft empire, had been caught red-handed. In October 2024, Manchester Crown Court saw the case laid bare. Surveillance footage, financial records, and recovered parts painted a picture of a highly professional enterprise, as Judge Neil Usher described it. The sentences reflected each member's role. Adam Elwood, 6 years, including additional convictions for drug offenses and dangerous driving. Shawaz Rahman, 4 years, 9 months for running a key chop shop. Imran Taj, 4 years for logistics and transport. Zine Ali, 3 years, 9 months for mechanical work. Asif Matadar, 3 years, 6 months for leading the network. Muhammad Aaron, 3 years for technical expertise. James Hopkinson, 8 months suspended for 18 months for financial coordination. The group faced a combined 25 years in prison, a significant blow to Manchester's car theft underworld. But the question lingers. Has the empire been truly dismantled? Or is another generation already forming in the shadows? The Manchester Airport Valet Scam is a chilling reminder of how organized crime can hide in plain sight, exploiting trust, technology, and even government aid to build empires. From fake valet firms to global export pipelines, this case exposed the precision and audacity of modern car theft networks. The revival of the Yard under the 50 banner shows how these operations adapt, learning from past mistakes to come back stronger. What do you think about the case and the sentences? Should the punishments have been tougher, or did the court get it right? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. If this deep dive into Manchester's stolen car empire hooked you, smash that like button, subscribe to the Crime Decoder, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next episode. COD. Until then, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next case.